Ladies and gentlemen, Beijing, Mexico, Los Angeles, London. What's common between these cities? They've been able to turn around their pollution woes. Make big, bold changes on your screen. 2008 Beijing Olympics, if we can get that up. 2008 Beijing Olympics, quite contrast to the 2022 last Beijing Olympics. Pollution in Beijing was down by half, adding 4 years into the average of life expectancy for those living in that area. That's right. Look at that. 2008 vis-a-vis 2022. The same Nest Stadium. It was in 2013 that Beijing announced a war against air pollution amid international scoff for that matter. Suspending production at many power plants, implementing a coal to gas transition in heating, increased restrictions on vehicles, round the clock, through long periods of time, not just when it gets really bad. Emissions closed down, heavily polluting factories also closed down, cloud seeding introduced. But here's the catch. According to The Guardian, while figures from the government show that the particle pollution or the particulate matter in Beijing reduced by more than 60% over the 10 years from 2013 to the end of 2022, it is still 6 times greater than the World Health Organization guidelines. But what's with Delhi? Look at this. What's the Delhi PM 2.5 as of today? According to IQAir, the level of particulate matter, which measures 2.5 microns or less in diameter, reached 907 at some points in the morning of November 18th. This level is 65 times higher than the maximum recommended by the World Health Organization. 65 times higher. The Great Smog of London in 1952 caused over 12,000 deaths from coal burning. Swift government action, including the Clean Air Act of 1956, was part of the resolve to combat that. In contrast, the smog crisis in South Asia is persistent, driven and worsened depending upon which spectrum one comes in, whether it be from crop burning, industrial emissions and vehicular pollution. There are other examples of Los Angeles and Mexico all up on your screens. You will get all the details up on your screens. We are not saying that air pollution is off the charts in these countries. What we are saying, in contrast to India, where records are being broken almost every year since a decade. Delhi-NCR has seen record level pollutions, AQI touching 1,000. What are we even talking about? Children in this AQI in parts of the Delhi-NCR, like nursery and higher school, are being forced to go to school, as Noida, Faridabad have refused to close their classes or shift classes online. Delhi and Gurgaon, though, have shifted online for the time being. By the way, it's almost since 2016 that every consecutive year, schools have been forced to shift online, shutting physical classrooms as AQI levels plummet to staggering levels amid full-blown political bickering, nearly zero transparency and accountability in data and inaction. And amid this political bickering, even as Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party and Haryana BJP government have claimed that farm fires this year have declined. A NASA scientist, Hiren Jethwa, has revealed that farm fires have in fact increased. Just that the farmers are burning the stubble at times when the NASA satellite, which is a polar orbiting satellite, has passed the subcontinent between 10:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon. In fact, the scientists have sought to prove this by relying on the Korean geostationary satellite, providing high incidence of red spots, indicating of farm fires after 2000 in the afternoon. All of this also went on record in the Supreme Court while this case was being heard. In fact, I'm going to be joined by Mr. Hiren Jethwa as well. He's one of our panelists. Let me just open this up to our panelists at this point. Hiren Jethwa, Vimlendu Jha. Hiren Jethwa, who's a NASA Goddard Space Flight Center Senior Research Scientist, joins us. Vimlendu Jha, who's an environmentalist, joins us. Sanat Khullar, who's a citizen voice, joins us. Thank you very much, all three of you. Thank you for your time. Even as I'm speaking, I'm quite out of breath, and we are people who are trained to introduce the show in this matter. This is like the least of the challenges before all of this. Mr. Vimlendu, let me just come straight up to you first. For somebody who's been following air pollution for so long, is an environmentalist, when you hear about what's happening in other countries, how some of the worst cities have been able to turn their stories around, and Delhi still grappling with political rhetoric, what goes through your mind? How do you look at this? What's missing in Delhi and in India?
So, Sneha, it's lack of political will, lack of political urgency. Our political class doesn't understand how grave the situation is. Or at least if they understand how grave the situation is, they're not motivated enough to really take those adverse steps. And as you rightly said, that why should the action in terms of GRAP, by the way, GRAP is not an action on pollution. It's an emergency measure. It's a lockdown, shutdown measure that you take, on the eve of pollution. In fact, Supreme Court said that you didn't even take that step on the eve of pollution. You took that step after 2 days of reaching severe plus. So it's a very unfortunate state of affairs that we have when it comes to environmental governance in general and air pollution governance in particular. And in other countries, if you look at Beijing for that matter, and indeed these are the countries that were actually looking at development agenda. They of course didn't want to disrupt their path to greater development and achievement in GDP, but they were able to make systemic and systematic transformation because they realized that, air quality control or air pollution or controlling air pollution was much more important than perhaps making fancy flyovers and fancy stadiums and fancy infrastructure in the city. So, if there is a political will, like LA, for example, the numbers that we were talking about, LA has actually shut down when the air quality index reached 250. Today, you and I are having this show. Tomorrow in the morning, air quality index is going to be 100, 100 in some part of India, 1000 as per IQ Air. As per CPCB, it will be perhaps 500. In fact, my air quality monitor talks about around 1700 is what the air quality indicator is in Gurgaon, Delhi border where I live. And still, there'll be business as usual. And it's so unfortunate that the courts of our country have to actually get into air quality governance. So, what Beijing did or what LA did is looked at a comprehensive plan irrespective of which political party or political dispensation was in power. They looked at coal, they looked at vehicle, they looked at public participation, public education, every aspect of it. And it's been 10 years that people like you and I and others have been talking about the urgent public health emergency that this is, but there's nothing that actually happens. Of course, I've sent messages to the political parties and people in government to really actually announce a lockdown, because this is no less than COVID. In fact, it's worse than COVID because it actually is not something that spreads because of touch. It is something that's really an emergency, that's everybody's business, and maybe non-essential work should be suspended as soon as possible, because 1500 AQI is almost like 80 to 100 times worse than what WHO permits. We're not even talking about 25 to 100 or very
Absolutely.
poor or severe plus. IQ Air says that the AQI where I am is 1700.
In fact, Vimlendu Jha, while you are saying that, and I need to go to Hiren Jethwa as well, he's waiting as well. But very quickly, if I can give you a minute again, because before we go to Hiren, you're building on a very important point, and I just need to drive this down. As ironical as it sounds, China is not a great country when you talk about transparency in terms of numbers. It's not a great country to talk about transparency, about data, and so on and so forth. But we are at a cusp when our data and the action taken is far at the spectrum when you're even talking about countries like China. That is the irony, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sneha. So imagine if it was 450, then that's exactly the conversation that happened this morning in the Supreme Court, that when our AQI, as per government air quality monitors. Half of them don't function, half of them function poorly, and half of them actually give wrong data or whatever in that order of one third, 450 plus when today is the third day when the air quality index was severe, and today is when, before the Supreme Court hearing came, is when the government last night announced that it should actually be severe plus and graph 4. So, imagine we don't even know. And by the way, in this era, you can't really hide this data. 1500 to 1700 AQI is what it's actually everyone knows. And forget about the numbers for that matter, because a normal citizen doesn't understand numbers. You step out. Today I came back from Noida to Delhi-Gurgaon border. After graph 4 there was a terrific traffic. The eyes were burning, and the doctors that I spoke to and several shows that I've been on, there's a public health emergency, and still government is still contemplating moves.
Right.
Cities like Faridabad and others, they don't even want to shut schools. The most vulnerable population is actually subjected to the utmost criminal negligence by the government.
Absolutely, Vimlendu. And in fact, while we are talking at data, Hiren Jethwa is with us. Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. Your data and your interpretation of data has also been quoted in the Supreme Court. It's also come up before the Supreme Court. It's on record.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court has now asked the state and different parties to go ahead and respond, collect the data according to the inferences that you have made as well. Now, Hiren Jethwa, let me start first my question. When you look at data, at the satellite imageries from some of the worst countries in terms of air pollution, how do you look at where the National Capital Region is?
It depends on the time of the year. So when we are, yes, it depends on the time of the year. We are in the post-monsoon season and gradually approaching to the winter, right? And during the same time, the temperatures are now becoming more and more colder. Okay, it favors the trapping of the air pollutants near the surface. So we see those pollutants in the PM 2.5 measurements and AQI measurements. But on top of this, we have a very huge giant source of the crop residue burning in northwest India, in Pakistan too. So talking about India, the Punjab, in some capacity Haryana too, there are also fires in UP and MP also. But when we talk about the National Capital Region, is the fires in the Punjab and Haryana, which affect most the air quality in the New Delhi area. And since last 3 years, we saw the decline in the crop burning pattern, basically the fire counts. And we were under the impression that yes, this is a very good sign that there is some actions are being taken on the ground to curb the crop residue burning. But the pollution level hasn't gone down. This year also, I mean, if you look at the NASA satellite data and compare those data with the previous years, it's showing decline. But that decline is only during a certain time of the day. So this NASA satellite overpasses the region around 1:32 p.m. Of course, yeah. So if you look at that data, yes, there is a downtrend, but there is also a shift in the burning pattern now. For some reason that I don't know the exact reason why, but the burning of the crop residue is now more concentrated during the late afternoon hours, 4 and 5 p.m., which are not accounted in any of our calculations, even after 5 and 6 p.m.
Wow. And
I heard from some sources that there are some farmers who are burning this crop residue in the night time. Okay, so all these fires outside this typical satellite overpass time, those data is nowhere actually. We don't know exactly the totality of the picture in terms of the fire activities in Punjab, Haryana, even Uttar Pradesh and MP. So now there's a great debate currently going on in media.
So, if you're saying we don't have any sense of how much the farm fires have been, how, in terms of what's the kind of increase that we are really talking about, then on what basis are you saying that there has been an increase? Is it because of the area that has been burnt?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this year only I started using the geostationary satellite data, And that data comes from the South Korean geo platform with a sensor called Advanced Meteorological Imager. And that has a particular channel, the wavelength, that can detect these fires. We call it shortwave infrared channel. So when there is a fire, that it emits a thermal signal, and that thermal signal is noted in this 4 micron wavelength filter. So if you look at this, even the NASA satellite data is also based on primarily on that 4 micron thermal channel data. But since with the help of geostationary, we can track the evolution of these fires from morning to evening, right? And this year only, first time I looked at that data, and I found out there are more and more fires during the late afternoon, around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. In that time range. And we don't have many fires around noon time, around 1 p.m. When the NASA satellite pass over the northern Indian region. So we have a very strong evidence from the geostationary satellite that there is no reduction in the fire activities. It's just that it has been shifted to late afternoon hours. We are not able to see in the NASA satellite data. So yes, if you look at the NASA satellite data, yes, there's a downtrend. But if you look at the totality of the picture, no, there is no downtrend in the fires at all. So I was under the delusion since last 2 to 3 years and I was happy that yes, the fires are going down. But this year I'm disappointed that no, this is not the case. Somehow farmers are avoiding that time period when the satellites are flying over our region, and they are basically they start burning after that. So that's I don't know the reason why who has directed them, whether they know this
This is
satellite over past
unbelievable,
time by
Hiren Jethwa,
themselves.
and we've been hearing this. I heard this argument in Supreme Court as well as Hiren Jethwa. Can I just get in Vimlendu Jha? Vimlendu Jha, this is unbelievable because what Hiren Jethwa is saying is something we all knew about. Let's face the facts. Hiren Jethwa is saying he doesn't know the reason. But what we all knew about was, yes, the farm fires were being done in the evenings, in the late evenings, in the night. What we did not know was about the satellites passing time. Just the correlation of both of them makes citizens feel like idiots. If that, I mean, we're not supposed to use these words, but that's literally how we all are feeling living in this gas chamber.
No, Sneha, it's not the farmers who are making us citizens idiots. It's the politicians who are making us idiots. Please understand, as much as this might be true, what Hiren sir is talking about, or otherwise the submissions that were made in the Supreme Court, reality is that Delhi's air is polluted, or Delhi is the most polluted city in the world, or Delhi's AQI is very, very terrible today, or yesterday, or last 3 weeks, is not because of stubble burning. It's indeed the episodic sources of pollution, including stubble burning, contributes. Like, this morning it was 25%. But it becomes a very, very convenient narrative for the courts of our country and for otherwise people to talk about stubble burning alone and blame it on farmers alone for Delhi's air pollution crisis. Reality, and that's one of the reasons, if someone's honestly asked me, why have we actually failed in combating air pollution in the last 1 decade, is because we have identified the wrong problem. Our diagnosis is wrong. Stubble burning is a problem, indeed a problem, but it's a problem for only 2 to 3 weeks. The problem of Delhi-NCR's air pollution crisis is its own sources of pollution. 50% of pollution in Delhi-NCR is because of vehicles. Almost 30 to 35% is because of construction and demolition waste. So therefore, to criminalize and to really talk ill about farmers, indeed they're wrong, and no doubt about it. Stubble burning should stop tomorrow. But there's a reason why they're doing it. But to really look at very narrow lens and think of air pollution of Delhi-NCR as much as what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and think that stubble burning is the main reason. Stubble burning is going to stop in a week's time. Do you think Delhi's air quality is going to be 50 or 100 or 150 or 200 next week? Not at all. Stubble burning only started
I
2
think
weeks
what
ago.
Mr. Jethwa
Air
is saying
quality
is
index was
important because
300 plus
that
before.
just with facts just busts the narrative that each political party is playing back and forth. So in that context, it's very important. But while you are saying there's a larger problem and nobody takes it away, and we also have the charts on what the bigger causes, what the major causes is.
365 days Delhi's air is polluted.
Aggravates the pollution levels. But Vimlendu Jha, here's my question. If you're talking, and you spoke about vehicular pollution, each and every city we spoke about, London, whether it be Mexico, whether it be Los Angeles, whether it be Beijing, all of them had long period curbs on vehicular emissions. Why can't Delhi have that?
So because Delhi depends on fake data. Central Pollution Control Board 10 years ago had 4 monitoring stations of air quality monitoring. Today it has 39 or 40 air quality monitors. Half of them don't work. Half of them give us fake data. And then also the body, earlier EPCA and now CAQM, and then also the super body called Supreme Court of the country believes that stubble burning is the main cause, and the prompt action is not taken. Imagine GRAP 4 is imposed today after 3 days of severe plus. GRAP 3 was imposed after almost 7-8 days of being bad air. So, somewhere there's a problem in our governance. We are only wait and watch. We all think that, and that's the submission, by the way, the unfortunate and illogical and stupid submission made by the government today was that we were waiting for the weather gods to do its work, and that's the reason why we didn't impose GRAP 4. And that's what Supreme Court Justice Oka said, that, when it's 401, then or 451, you impose that GRAP then and there. And by the way, even Supreme Court and our governments think that GRAP is the solution. GRAP is not a solution. For 10 years, the systemic, systematic,
I think that's a big irony in itself,
Vimlendu, have not been sought at all.
Right. Right. Vimlendu Jha, thank you very much for your inputs. I believe you had to leave early. Thank you very much for joining us with those inputs. Very quickly, if I can go to Hiren Jethwa, to what Vimlendu has as well said. Is there a way to look at data? Is there a way to look at how data can be interpreted beyond farm fires as well? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, so Mr. Jha was speaking about the local sources, right, in Delhi. Okay. Now, if you looked at this AQI measurements and the PM2.5 measurements in the first week of October, is just before this onset of the burning season. Okay, I have looked at those past data. It's about 25-30 microgram per meter cube. Today, when I checked this US Embassy data, it was 1,000 microgram per meter cube. What has changed from the October first week till now? Since last 3 days, we have seen an increase in the fire incidences in Punjab. Today, the satellite fire count says that it was more than 1,000 fire incidences were detected just alone in Punjab. Okay, so when we are talking about only this October-November season, I think it's the only major source. I'm not saying that there are no other local sources like dust and constructions, and they're already there 24/7 around the year. Why don't we see this kind of pollution level during the other time of the years, when the same sources are already there? So what I'm saying that on top of all these local sources, we have a huge, big, giant source of pollution from the crop burning during these 4 to 5 weeks, and that's why we are seeing this very huge spikes in the air pollutions in satellite data, in PM2.5 and other measurements too. And I think we cannot ignore that. We are here today talking why? Because of the crop burning. Because that has caused this pollution level to a very severe category. The AQI was more than 1,000 actually on some sites in Delhi, which is unbreathable air. Okay, so now when he was talking about once the crop burning season, the season is ended, which is sometime around, at the end of November, there are some other local sources come up, No, it's a winter. Not everyone has heater there. So people use the wood, the coal, and the other biomass stuff for the personal heating, which are not detected by satellite, because those are very, very small scale fires. And those adds up to the seasonal sources of the aerosols or the pollution in the region. So, but for these 2 months, October and
Right.
November, the only major, the big source is the crop burning in the northwestern India. And I'm also including Pakistan also, because there are also a number of fire incidents are reported on the other side of the border. And given the northwesterly winds, all the smoke load,
Right.
fly over Punjab or Haryana and then Delhi and then UP. So if you look at the satellite image, our whole northern Indian subcontinent is under the blanket of smoke. Now, no vehicle emission pollution, no
Right.
industries, no coal power plant can make that kind of picture from the satellite. Okay, if you look at the satellite image in
That's
October and
very
now,
that's very
completely different.
staggering. It's humbling, it's staggering, it's infuriating to be even hearing the way you're speaking, the way you're interpreting data. It's extremely sad that we are at the receiving end of all of this, despite discussions after discussions after discussions for months running up to this episodic peak. Let me just get in my other two panelists at this time. I'm being joined by Jasmine Sandhawalia, who's a spokesperson for BJP, Dr. Nishant Anand, who's a spokesperson for Aam Aadmi Party. I'm also being joined by Sanat Khullar. Sanat Khullar, let me go to you first. Thank you very much for your patience. But before that, Hiren Jethwa, we would love to have you, but you've been around for a while. If you could stay on, we would love to have you. But if you have to leave, we would leave that choice to you. Thank you so much, Hiren Jethwa, for your very, very important insights, very critical and crucial insights.
Okay.
If I can come to Sanat Khullar at this point. Sanat Khullar, you've been waiting for a very long time. As a citizen who's living in the National Capital Region, what do you have to say?
See, living in Delhi has always been a privilege, but the Delhi air pollution has been increasing a lot. If we see, I was seeing today, I'll just show you here, that the Delhi, as per government records, has had reported AQI of 972. If you can see it close, if you can see it here, whereas New York had. Whereas New York was at 45, and the AQI measure showed that it was good, not the best. For us, Delhiites, if we see an AQI index of 45, that would be one of our best days. Paris had an AQI of 5. We have more than 1,000. Where is the air of the country good for the citizens? I just was doing some research. 30% of children in Delhi suffer from lung problems.
Tell us something, Sanat. As an individual who's living in Delhi, does this affect you directly? Does this affect you and your family directly? Why should it matter to you? I mean, the politicians, it doesn't matter to them for elections. It doesn't matter to them for nothing. It matters to them. Life moves on after the bulk of this pollution. I need to know, people want to know, how does this affect you directly?
I'm personally suffering from asthma, and my grandfather has got cancer. The reason for the cancer was that, as per doctors, Delhi pollution is to be blamed. In Delhi, we live and we have to smoke around 50 cigarettes just by breathing the toxic air. 20% capacity of lung of every Delhiite is reduced. 54,000 deaths have been reported only because of pollution. 10 years of valuable lifespan has reduced of Delhi just because of this pollution. Politics will come and go. This is an every year debate which we have, and every year during the mid-November till mid-February, we have this debate, and we just have the grab, which is like a lockdown for COVID. We had the lockdown for COVID, which was not the solution, which was just an emergency procedure. The solution for COVID was a vaccine. Where is the vaccine over here? We do not do anything for pollution. It's not just air pollution. We see our Yamuna, how polluted it is. Where are the actions being taken? Government allocates funds are being spent, but do we see it on ground? The answer is no.
Right. Sanat, thank you. Let me just get responses from the other panelists as well to what you're saying. Let me first straight go to Dr. Nishant Anand. Where is the vaccine?
Thank you for allowing me. First of all, the vaccine for COVID, I think the 2 doses have been given to everybody. And I have to answer on the
Dr.
today's
Nishant Anand,
issue,
I'm
which
not
is
talking.
COVID.
It was a very rhetoric question. I'm not asking about COVID vaccine. I'm just asking about where is the long-term solution for pollution. I mean, look at what Mr. Hiren Jethwa has just said. Look at it. He's saying the data shows it all. The satellite
Okay, let me
imagery
answer.
shows it
I
all.
got it.
That farm
I get it.
fires have only increased at all levels. Farm fires, the area that is burnt, scientifically he's saying it with the images that he's calculated, and it's gone before the Supreme Court. All this while you've been saying Punjab farm fires have declined. Where?
Okay, let me answer that to you. First of all, this problem in Delhi, the solution of this problem has to be done by three people. First is the state government, that is the Delhi government, Aam Aadmi Party government. Then the center government and the neighboring state government. Now I tell you what Aam Aadmi Party has done. Now we have electric buses in Delhi, the maximum in India. Now we have reduced our stubble burning in Punjab by 77%. It is in the report of Government of India, and it has been mentioned in NASA report as said by the NDTV. Now, I'll tell you, the BJP should be ashamed, because where is the environmental minister right now? Where are the BJP spokesperson and ministers? Why are they not coming out and giving an answer to the people of Delhi or Haryana or UP? What have they done? The Pranali burning in Haryana is increased by 70% approximately. It has been increased in UP. It has been increased in Madhya Pradesh. Now, Aam Aadmi Party is giving the measures they have done in the last 11 years to reduce it. Where do they have? The BJP has the government in more than 20 states. Do they have electric buses? Do they have increased stubble burning in any of the states where the problem is? As I said, Delhi has a neighboring state of 4 to 5 states where there is a maximum cases of stubble burning. So Aam Aadmi Party has been working for the people
While
of Delhi.
I take your
understand
questions to the BJP, adding my own.
Yeah.
Again, I want to ask you, and Hiren Jethwa is with us, and that's why I'm asking you this again. As an Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, do you want to respond to what Hiren Jethwa has said? Do you want to respond to what he is saying about the data, saying farm fires have not reduced? They have, in fact, only increasing, and they have circumvented what were the known facts in terms of the satellite imagery around the afternoon, around 1:30. Do you have any direct response? Because viewers are watching. They've just heard what he's saying. This is your opportunity to respond to science and data that has been put before you. Rhetorics can wait for now, but you would want to, before I go to BJP, to respond to the same allegations that Mr. Hiren has made.
I got it. So the answer for that question is the Punjab for stubble burning has been reduced in the last 2 years. Now, see, we need to question the people and the government of the state where the stubble burning has increased. Not to the government, not to Aam Aadmi Party, where the stubble burning has decreased. Now, as per the reports of Government of India or NASA, the stubble burning in Punjab has been reduced close to 70%. And we have to answer where the stubble burning is reduced, where there are measures like electric buses in India. And today, BJP, if you ask them a question, they will not have a single solution that they have done in the 20 states they have the government.
So this is your answer. I go to BJP, and after BJP, I will go back to Mr. Hiren. But allow me to go to Jasmine Sandhawalia at this point. Yes, Ms. Jasmine, my first question to you, even before I come to what Mr. Hiren has said, my first question to you, Ms. Jasmine, why are schools in Noida not shut? Why are the physical classrooms still going on? One cannot fathom.
You see, that is a decision. That is a decision which has to be taken by the chief minister there and the chief secretary. But I would certainly, I want to say something to. I'm from Punjab, and I want to say something to the AAP person.
Talk about Haryana. Talk about UP. Talk about Madhya Pradesh.
Okay,
talk about
Jasmine Sandhawalia, you can respond to that. Of course, you will get to respond to that. But may I just make a conclusion to what I said? Even as the AQI hits staggering figures, toddlers, young children in different classes, different schools are going to be making their way tomorrow to these schools, breathing in gas chambers. That's one fact before the viewers. But Jasmine Sandhawalia, sure, go ahead, make your point about the farm fires, if that's your priority.
You see, that is a decision which the chief Minister will take, and I'm sure he is going to be sensitive enough to do that, to take that decision. But I also want to bring to everybody's notice that when they say that Punjab fires have come down, I'm a farmer myself. I come from Punjab, from Kapurthala, and I can tell you that the bureaucracy is not taking a very proactive decision to come down on farmers. Although I'm a farmer, the farm fires are continuing, and like the gentleman said, that they are trying to avoid the satellite thing. It is very easy for us as politicians, whether I'm from the BJP or the Congress or the AAP, but we must consider cutting across from political parties. We are human beings, we are Indians. We need to come up with a policy and not accuse each other that BJP is in 20 states and AAP is in 2 states.
It is a fact.
We need to formulate a policy which can save
You
us
can't talk
and
about
save our
Haryana.
children and
You
our
can't
progeny.
talk about
And it is
Haryana.
very sad.
You can't
It is
talk
very
about you.
sad that the states and the center are not coming to a policy which can help all of us. And that should be an emergency for us. It should be like a COVID
Jasmine, while you're
situation.
saying that,
We
and I
are losing
completely
7
agree
years
with
of
you
our
that
life
that needs to be done. Any quick response to what Hiren has spoken about Haryana as well, where a double engine ki sarkar
No
exists?
answer with them. They don't have any answer.
You see, the farmers are continuing to burn. That is the truth. I will say that the farmers are burning the rice fields, and it is very
They do
sad.
not
A
have
policy
any
has
answer
to come
for
up,
UP
and we need
or Haryana.
to take
They
action.
only
And also at the
know
same time, I want to
about
say
Punjab.
that it is not just the
Talk
stubble
about
burning.
Haryana.
I also
I am in
want to say,
Gurgaon right
I
now.
never interfered when you
I'm
were
in
talking.
Haryana right
I
now.
never interfered.
One
This is
measure
very
you have
unfair.
taken in
This is,
Haryana
you're
or
shooting
UP
us down.
or in
I think
20
Dr.
states,
Nishant
which will
Anand,
help the
Dr.
citizen
Nishant
of India.
Anand,
Please,
Jasmine
I
Sandhawalia
request the
is
anchor to
making a
ask
very
him.
important point. Let's just keep the decorum in the show. I would love for both of you to face off because that's what
Yes.
viewers would want to know, point by point, counter by counter.
At least I'm
but both of you
admitting-
speaking
at
like
least
this
I'm
is going to be
admitting
no
as an
counter. It's going to be a
Indian
lot of
citizen
noise,
and as a
like
human
a lot
being
of
that there
political
are
rhetoric
fires
has
in
been till
Haryana.
now. So Jasmine Sandhawalia, make your point, please.
I am admitting that there are fires in Haryana. I'm admitting as an Indian citizen, cutting across political ideologies. I am saying that we as Indians need to come up with a emergency policy and do something about the air pollution. At the same time, being a farmer, I would also say that it is just 40% that
But Jasmine, that's the
pollution
point.
is contributed
Jasmine,
or attributed
Miss Jasmine,
to,
that's the point.
to the
Why
farm,
has
to
the government
farm
not
fires,
done it till
and
now?
It is the industrial
Till now,
waste
Haryana
also,
was
which
going
is
on about
contributing
how
hugely.
farm fires have been reducing, Miss Jasmine.
I beg your pardon, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat that for me, please?
Till now, Haryana has been going on about how farm fires have been reducing. Mr. Hiren says that's not the truth. So now we can come and take a very high-handed resolve about let's get this down. We need to work together. The fact is a decade has gone by.
Well, unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that another decade will go and we'll all die. Nobody's really doing anything. We have to take some very drastic
Modi hai
measures
to
to
mumkin
save
hai.
our
That's why we
nation.
say it. If
And
Modi
we
hai to
need to
mumkin hai.
cut across party lines. We need to admit where we are going wrong. We definitely need to admit where we are going wrong and not protect ourselves just because he's from the AAP and I'm from the BJP. We need to say that we are Indians, we are human beings. We need to save our nation and we need to save our people. And that's what we are not doing.
Okay,
Unfortunately,
Hiren
we are just
Jethwa, if I can
debating
get you
and
in. Hiren
accusing
Jethwa,
each
you've been
other.
having your
I,
hands
as a
up for a
BJP
while.
person, I'm
Please go
admitting
ahead,
that
make
there
the
are
point you want
there
to
are
make,
fires
even
in
as this
Haryana,
back and forth really is going
simultaneously
on.
there are fires in Punjab too.
Few major points to convey here. The first thing, the crop burning, the incidences of farm fires haven't gone down in last 3 years. Why I say that? Because, okay, if you look at, again, just one satellite data around noontime or afternoon time, yes, there is a downtrend, but there is a shift in the burning pattern that we are not accounting for. Okay, so if you combine, if you make this whole day observations of the fires, you will see that the fires are actually increasing, or at least at a stable level compared to the previous year. They haven't gone down. And there are other local sources, of course, but I think the the major issue that needs to be addressed, as Ms. Sandhawalia has already pointed out. Actually, I agree with every word that she has spoken. We need some emergency action from the governments, not just from one state government, but from surrounding states like UP, MP, Delhi, Haryana, and Punjab. In Haryana, there are fires, but if you count the number of fires there compared to Punjab, they are minions. Like they are very low in numbers in Haryana. But of course, there are still some fires in Haryana too. And there are fires in the UP and MP, but those fires are not directly affecting the national capital region. If you look at the wind patterns, okay, those are affecting the downwind region of eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and so on. And the fires in MP and Maharashtra, they are affecting Mumbai and also like parts of the Gujarat and so on. But when we talk about the national capital region, we need to address this crop burning issue in Punjab. And if someone is saying that the fires, even I was one of them till early this season, was telling that the fires are going down, looking at the last 2 to 3 years of data. But now I had to change my statement after looking at the geostationary satellite data that the fires are not actually decreasing. They have shifted the pattern. They have delayed the burning to just avoid the satellite flagging of those fires, and also look at the pollution level. In last 2 weeks, we have looked at the long term, like more than 20 years of satellite aerosol data over the whole northern India, not just Punjab or Delhi, but the whole what we call the Indo-Gangetic Plain, including Pakistan. In last 2 weeks in November, this month, we have seen a spike that we didn't see in the last 10 years in the satellite record. And this is about the whole northern India, not just one or a small region or one station. There is no doubt that the crop burning is a major contributor to this humongous amounts of the aerosols or particulate matter. And I agree with Ms. Jasmine's every word that she has spoken, that we need urgent actions from all authorities, small and big, and we need a great level of coordination among the different government. It doesn't matter which government it is AAP or Congress or BJP.
I think better late than never, because till now the story has been almost about never. And hopefully we will have something very strong coming up out of this disaster that National Capital Region is turning out to be. Sanath Kullar, you have your hands up. Please go ahead.
See, if the crop burning incidents are not being reported or being underreported, that doesn't mean it's not happening. Because if it's not happening, then from where is the pollution coming? Crop burning contributes around 30% of pollution. It is not the time for politics. It is the time for the governments of AAP, Congress, as of today, and other parties of the BJP to unite together to provide a solution to us. We have chosen our governments, and we ask the governments today that what measures have been taken in last 10 years for our health, for the air we breathe. Crop burning is a problem, but there are solutions available. There are machines such as Happy Seeders and Super Straw, which can be given to farmers. There can be subsidies which can be offered to farmers. There can be financial assistance.
Right.
And there can be
you
laws
have very
which can
valid
be implemented.
points. And Sanath, I think it's absolutely justifiable to be asking what actions have been taken, because you are a voter, you are a citizen, you have the right to ask. Unfortunately, a lot of questions that people in the National Capital Region are asking, it just seems to be falling either on deaf ears or on political rhetoric.
Because the
As we
problem
come to
is
the
that
end
this
of the
debate
show,
will
just a very important reminder to our
again in
viewers.
February, and then we'll again come back on this debate next year and asking the same question. The point is, what is the solution? Politics will happen
That's true.
every
In fact,
time.
not just next year. We've been doing this through the year just to be hoping that we would be heard.
Where is
the
the
story
solution?
is very different. There are several contributors, but as we started this show, from London to Los Angeles to Mexico to Beijing, if they have been able to do it, and it's not been about one factor, it's been about the huge consolidated crackdowns that they've been able to do. There's no reason why the National Capital Region cannot do it, but the truth is they have failed us all over again. To all of our panelists, Hiren Jethwa, thank you very much for your time, for staying on, and for some extremely important, critical insights that you have given to this show. Vimlendu Jha, who joined us a while ago, Sanath Kullar, Jasmine, Sandhawalia, as well as Dr. Nishant Anand. Thank you very much for your time. Tomorrow is going to be no better. It possibly is going to be only worse. Thank you very much for your time.